G'day folks, Rod Moore here from Moore Art School and Learn to Paint TV. Welcome to another exciting episode of Learn to Paint TV. This week I thought we'd do something a little bit different. We're going to head over to Whitby on the North Yorkshire coast in the UK. And we're going to paint a scene that was very early in the morning and it was quite grey and misty. So there's a lot of greys in this painting, and we're going to explore how do we make a painting interesting when it's, fairly muted colours. How do we capture a feel and some atmosphere using, fairly muted colours and an overcast sort of day. And that's what we're going to explore here today in this episode. So we'll start off, as always, in the Moore method. We are step one, our drawing. Going to just take our time with the drawing, make sure we get that right. And I'll just mix those two together just to get us a bit of a basic drawing colour to start off with. I want this paint to be fairly loose here today. Now I'm just going to take a bit of a measure. So around about a quarter of the way up, which is going to be about there, I suspect. Maybe even a touch higher. I'll just go there. And then that's going to come out to there, which is almost halfway, not quite. So halfway might be around about there. Let's just run that out to there. And we've got these posts and so on. The harbour wall, it drops down around about there, runs through to there. Now this top of the row of houses here is over halfway. So it's, would it be a third? No, it's going to be around about there, I think. I'll just put a row through. Just going to stop around about there, and then the harbour bridge is going to go to about there. So I'm thinking that's probably all a bit too big. Let me bring that down. I'm going to bring that down to there, that down to there, that to there. I'm going to run that into there and down. Okay, and I'm going to run the harbour bridge to there, and then down that way there. There's going to be a little hut there, something along those lines. Okay, and then in this corner here we're going to have a slightly bigger hut there. So that's going to come out to a peak, and then it's going to drop away that way. And underneath, because this one's in front of that one over there, we're going to have these piers there. That's going to go there. It's going to run into some interesting shapes in there. Okay. And then we're going to have the rest of the structure of that bridge running in through there. Okay, I'm thinking all this is too big, potentially. Although to make the painting interesting, maybe we don't want it. I'll just bring the line down a little, just adjusting it as we go. That's going to come into there and there. Peaks around about there, so it's going to come in there. Okay, so with something along those lines, and we've got this distant, really hazy row of the hillside at the back, and there's a few little indications of things happening out there, but not much. So that ends step one. I've got all these houses as one block. I've got that as another little block, the bridge, the harbour walls in here and here, and then there's a distant mountain, which leaves then sky and water, obviously. And that really is all we need to do for step one. I think where it's going to be important here is step two, is just getting those values right as we progress. So this sky area is a really muted blue-grey, and there's a hint of sunlight coming up through here. So we're going to get a little bit of the yellow in there, and we're going to just create like a gradient across with the yellow. And we want to get a little bit of that yellowy tone in through in here as well. Okay, so I'll take my big chunky brush, and let's just see what happens. I'm going to start off with pretty much all this white right there. Going to get that blue in there. I'm going to get a little bit of red and a little bit of yellow. Now I'll put those separate so you can see where I've got a big chunk of white, a little bit of the blue, a little bit of the red, and a touch less of the yellow. Got the yellow in there really as a greying agent here at the moment. Now remember that this is going to dry just slightly darker. Therefore, I'm going to take the rest of that white. So I'm going to use a lot of white in this painting, I feel. And you can see that's to the blue side, but I don't think it's grey enough. I'll get a little bit more red and a little bit more yellow in there. So don't worry about that. I'll just put that up there. Now what we want to do, because we're painting in greys, we want, if any little bits of colour come out, we don't want to lose those. Just little interesting streaks in this, here and there in this colour, I think will be, worth trying to preserve. I've got this little touch of red in there. Okay, and I think that'll just make the painting interesting to have little flecks of colour in there. So I'll work around that. I'll try not to lose that. Now we come down and we're just going to darken the tone just slightly here, right? Not too much. Okay, so I'll get another chunk of white. I'll add in blue, red, less yellow if I can. Okay, so you can see that's on the blue side now. Do I want it on the blue side that much? Probably not that much. So a little bit more red, a little bit more yellow. Okay, and by adding that third primary in, it's going to grey it back. Okay, now this needs to be darker. Needs to be darker than the sky tone. Probably do want a touch bluer. Okay, I don't want it too warm. I want it to be sitting in the background. There we go. That's a more pleasing sort of tone there. But the edges along here can't be hard edges. Okay, they've got to be nice, soft edges. So what I'll do is I'll get a dry brush and I'll come back and soften those edges out. Okay, and just being able to move colour around, from one tone, warmer, cooler, darker, lighter, is a really good skill to have. It'll make you a better painter, which is why I developed the colour mixing course, was because, people would always stop me and say, well, how much of that did you put in, how much of this? And I didn't really know. It's because I do most of it intuitively. When you understand the basic principles and you practice them a lot, then you can start to mix colour without thinking about it. And that's when you know you're starting to really progress. It needs to be lighter than that distant hill though, and that's a little bit of the distant hill shining through there. And I think we've achieved that. Okay, so I'm just going to run over where I've got those pier posts sticking through there, soften that edge out there. Okay. So I'm going to ignore those posts. I know that they're there. I know that I'll need to put them in because they're a really key part of the painting here. Okay, I can get a little bit of interesting colour coming in to the base there. And now we need to block in tone for the harbour wall bridge and then these two gatherings of buildings here. So I'll just drop down to a slightly, probably a medium-sized brush here now, and I'm going to mix up a dark blue and the red, okay, and a little bit of the yellow ochre. Okay. Gives me more of a sort of a chocolatey dark, but let's keep it on the blue side because it's the sun's on the other side here. It's not on this side, and that's quite dark. I'm reluctant to put any white into it because it'll make it just get chalky, a little tiny bit perhaps. Okay. I'm just going to get that colour down. just bring some of it in here for the moment as a reflection. Just putting an indication of it in, I will come back and strengthen that out. Okay. And there's some detail work and things to do in there as well. Not a problem for the moment. Let's now get another mix of this. It's all blue, red and yellow again. Okay. And this is going to live over here. See, the tone is slightly different with this one. Probably wants to be a little bit more misty than that. Something like that. Just add a tiny little bit of white into that mix. And again, I'll run in a little bit of reflection. Okay, now, I'm going to run in this bridge here. What I'm going to do, I'll push it just slightly to the warmer side for the bridge, just slightly, just so we've got a bit of variety there. And I'm going to block in the bridge as one solid object here. And then out the back here, we've got all sorts of things going on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a lighter tone and slightly cooler tone in there, just to block it all in. And a large part of our detail work after the break is going to be bringing that into play. So let's just for the moment, just to lose the white of the canvas, okay, we'll just do some outline. And it's not going to stay this tone and whatnot. There's different lighter values in there, which make the painting a little bit interesting. That brings us to the end of step 2, our blocking. I think it's gone quite well. We need to make obviously a lot of adjustments to pull it all together, but for the moment we've got our sort of tonal pattern established. We know where our darkest darks are and our lighter lights, and I think it's working quite well. I think compositionally it works, and we've got everything in the right order and place where it needs to be. So I'm happy with the way it's going. We're going to let that dry off. Going to take an hour's break or so, go and have a cup of tea, and we'll come back and we'll spend most of our time really detailing up what is this interest through here is the bridge and the buildings on either side of the bridge. It's going to be good. We're going to spend a lot more time with detail work than we normally do, and I think you'll enjoy seeing how we detail this up. See you right after the break, and we'll do step 3 then. Cheers for now. Okay, so we're just going to stick with our primary colours here: ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, yellow ochre, and our titanium white. Where we're going to start off is detailing in here, and to do that I'm going to mix up a darker mix. Okay. A little bit of white in there. Okay, and I'll add a bit of the yellow just to knock it back from being too purple. Okay. I don't want it to be too yellow, so I'll just get a bit more blue in there. Okay, so that's going to give me a dark. And what I want to do effectively here is just find some angles on some roofs and things to really, because I've just blocked this in as one shape here, and now we need to start finding some of the angles here for these roofs. So we're going to have that one there. Let's just bring some tone in for that. a bit of a wall there. Then out of here there's a side-on one there, and that comes down there, and that wall's pretty much in shadow through there. So it's just a matter of just picking your way through this to find where we need to place some darks and some lights. It's really all I'm doing here, to be honest. I'm not doing anything more magical than that. I wish I was, but I'm just picking out darks and lights. Okay, that one goes there. And I'm definitely not going to be putting in everything that I could be putting in here. A, I'm running out of room. And B, it's not necessary. Okay. So this one's going to stand up there, it's going to run that way. A little bit more light on that, but what I'll do is I'll add a bit of blue and white just to get a shift in the tone. Don't make it too light though, and just run that in through there. And notice I'm leaving quite a bit of that underpainting tone to just wander through, do its own thing. In behind here we've got another little row, so I'll get a little bit redder, just again for a shift. Don't want them all the same. Okay, and I'll just run that one in behind. It's a little sneaky one. Sitting in behind there. Just going to just add in, you know, some windows. Not sure that's the right time. I maybe need to get a little bit darker than that. I was trying to keep it nice and light and misty, but it wasn't working. So I got rid of it. Started with a darker mix. Let's now try that. It's a bit better, isn't it? Just bringing up the details a little bit by a little bit is what we're doing. Taking our time. Now, you know, really step 3 with this painting is all about this section and that section, isn't it? Just going a little bit redder just to get these chimney hots in the back here. Don't overdo these, but if you can get the shapes of these right, then they'll greatly enhance the painting in the landscape here. Whoops, be careful where you shake the water off that brush. Okay, there's some sort of signage there. Run that down there like that. Chimney pot in here. these pier pieces in here. They're sitting somewhere like that, and then there's some sort of shadow, or reflections rather, that are coming into the water there. I'll just pop those in like that for the moment. I'm not sure how we'll deal with them a bit later on, but that'll do for the moment. Okay. Over on the other side now, I'll just do a little bit of work over here. So the pier is going to come out like so. There's a lower section of it there. And then we've got, and these little details here I think are really important to the success of this painting. And they really tell a story, I think, of what this is all about. Little fishing village, and incidentally, you know, it's the place where Captain Cook learnt to sail, and I believe commanded his yachts and boats and things out of Whitby. And what I've decided to do is I'm going to run the handrail of this in just above what I've already done there. Just doing that in little bits and pieces. Okay, I'm trying to keep my hand out of the way, but not easy. Okay, that's a little bit rough looking. However, I'm not fussed by that, because where I've got some little blotches there, I'm just going to say, well, you know what, that's where they put a little stone brick support there and there. There's another one there, strangely. One there. Like so. That's starting to come together a bit better now. Now, one thing that really makes this image, I think, is there's quite a few upright posts and things in here. I'm going to pop a few of those in, like so. And then over on this side. I'm not fussing with those details, I'm just popping them in. That one looks like it's a telegraph pole. Over here we've got this house here, we can just strengthen that up a little. Get that a bit of a chimney pot there. That one's a little bit big, but hey, we can rework that. I've got my large brush. Shift up the tone of that one a little. Don't want too much detail over on this side, because I don't want the eye necessarily go in there. Okay, now there's a couple of little bits. I don't know how to describe them other than bits. That, like rooftops and things that are catching a little sparkle of light here and there in the background. One up on the hill there. So what we'll do now, put in a few silhouettes for people. So we'll put them here. Maybe they've stopped to have a chat or do what I was doing, take photos. Some bluey grey. Okay. And I'm thinking over here. Little subtle little touch there, so you might not even see it on the birds taking flight. And you know what? That's where we're going to leave this one. I'm pretty happy with the way it's come up actually. I think it's balanced out just nicely. I was a bit concerned at the end of step 2 that it wasn't going to have the right overall balance of colour and tone. But as I've detailed it up, I think we've got it pretty well spot on. We've got a nice overall grey feel with some punchy, darks and greys in for our highlights. Hardly any saturated and bright colours except for just a little bit on the red and blue in there, just for that little pinpoint effect. Now, have a look at my interpretation. That's my watercolour version, using the same photo reference. So it just goes to show that everything's open to interpretation with painting, right? Now, I hadn't used watercolour for a few years, so perhaps I haven't done a very good job, but it just goes to show one photo, one artist, two different mediums gives completely different results. But what's important in both, I think, is trying to capture a sense of atmosphere, a mood, rather than trying to be too particular about, oh, that window doesn't go there, you know what I mean? Like, don't fuss too much with little details. It's more about the expression of the atmosphere and the mood of the painting and what it means to. And I think we've pretty well achieved that. When I look at that, it does remind me of my time early in the morning at Whitby Harbour, one of my favourite places in the world to go visit, and a place I can't wait to get back to. And this definitely gives me that feeling of having been there. So I think we've achieved our objective from that point of view. A little bit more complex. Have a go at it, take your time, and just work your way through the steps that we've just been through, and I'm pretty sure you can get there as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I've certainly enjoyed this particular episode, painting this one, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Learn to Paint TV. Cheers.